Apex is an object-oriented programming language. It is loosely coupled, means like loosely typed. Means it's not a case sensitive. You can give small letters, capital letters, however you want. Okay, so let's see how the Salesforce work and what is the platform Salesforce use like this. So okay, Salesforce has its own platform that's called force.com API. Platform is force.com is the platform. You should not say that API. Force.com is the platform. So there will be an interview question that what is the difference between salesforce.com and force.com. Okay, salesforce.com is an application and it's a software. And force.com is a platform. Okay, so do you know that what is a platform? A platform is a software where you can write and execute the programs. Okay, and Salesforce application runs on force.com platform. Okay, and as usual platform whatever it is force.com, it supports integrations, it supports languages, I mean it supports for writing the programs as well and executing the programs. And the programming language it supports is Salesforce, I mean Apex is the programming language. And other markup languages are Visual Force, and there is Lightning, like Visual Force, Aura components, we have others as well. Okay, using this Force.com platform, you can develop the applications using Apex and Visual Force. And as usual, we have Lightning components, those are Aura components, and Lightning Web components also. You can work on integrations also. So what we can use if we know the Apex. If you know the Apex, you can customize the applications, okay, and you can write the integrations. Okay, you can develop your own applications using Apex and the Visual Force and Lightning components as well as Lightning Web components as well. Okay, so this is very much important. And let's see, starting with Apex. Apex is an object-oriented programming language. Then what is object-oriented? Okay, we are saying that OOPS means object oriented programming language concepts. OOPS, object oriented programming concepts. Okay, that's OOPS. So generally object oriented programming means Apex is an object oriented programming language. Okay, means without an object you cannot do anything. Okay, without an object you cannot do anything. Then what is an object? It's not a Salesforce object or custom object whatever you have created. Okay, Salesforce object means the objects which are provided, you know, the standard objects and custom objects, right? Those are not the actual objects, those are not programming objects, those are S objects. S objects means Salesforce objects. Okay, here um, whatever you are writing the program, it is it is just by using the object means without using an object you cannot do anything. Okay, so let's see what are the different object oriented concepts we have, what are the different data types and variables we have, and others also. Let me explain one by one. Just note down that object oriented programming language concepts are object, class, encapsulation, inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism. These are the object oriented programming language concepts. First thing is, what is Apex? Apex is an object oriented programming language which runs on force.com platform. Okay, using Apex you can write the, you can customize the applications using Apex and Visual Force and Lightning components and Aura component, Lightning Web components, everything. Okay, when we'll go for the Apex means whenever you want to customize email services or whenever you want to run your own logic, okay, then there are some cases you can go for the Apex. Okay, so I'll explain all of these later. Don't need to worry about that. First, we need to know basics. Before going to the object and class, you should know the basic programming method. Okay. So today, first important thing is data types. Okay. We already know that what is a data type. Type of data which we are going to store. Okay, so usually in the custom objects or standard objects, when we are creating the fields, so first we need to select the data type, then we need to select the name, then if you want you can give the default value, then you can create the field, right? The same way in the Apex also, if you want to have some code, if you want to write some code, then there is a certain syntax is there. Syntax means that's a rule. Okay, you mean you have to follow the rules. So the platform means it's a software, it will have its own rules and regulations, how the program should be written. So where the column should be there, where the comma should be there, where the dot should be there. Okay, so how it should be used, that's very much important. That's called platform. It will be having its own rules and regulations. Okay, it varies based on the platform. Okay, so in any platform, if you go to Java, .NET or SAP, wherever you go, so there will be some kind of data like text, numbers, dates, and images, and some files like that, right? So to store them or to interact with those kind of data, interact with those kind of data, types of data. So we have data types. The data types will be there in each and every language. Okay, but the names will be different. That's it. Okay. Usually in Salesforce, data types are, just note down them: integer, decimal, double, long, string, every developer should have this document, and this document will be keep on updated for every 3 months and 6 months. Means we have 3 releases for Salesforce. Means for every 3 months, okay, they will be releasing new features. Okay, so what you need to do is you have to keep on update. Okay, let me explain this. There are two kind of variables, I mean data types. One is primitive data types and user defined data types, and then collection data types. There are three types of, mostly the first thing is primitive data type and collection data type, and we used to say user defined data type. User defined data types means you are going to create some data types in the program to work with your logic. Okay, primitive data types, collection data types, then user defined data types. If I ask that what are the different types of data types you have, first thing primitive data types, second one collection data types, third one the user defined data types. Okay, so primitive data types are like integer, decimal, double, long, then string, then date, date time, boolean, then id, object, object, blob. These are all the primitive data types. Okay, and then collection data types means usually in any variable. Let's say if you take text or number, you have created a custom field, then how many values you can store? You can store only one value at a time in one record, right? The same way here, if you define one variable with these primitive data types, you can store only one value. You can store only one value at a time. Then if you want to store multiple values, okay, if I say, let's say I have defined one data type or one variable like integer a, then in a variable what I can say, I can store 10 or 20 or 100, whatever it is, but only one value. If I want to store 10, 20, 30, 40, something like that, it means group of values, or let's say collection of values, then what you can say that's called the collection variables, or let's say collection data types. Those are list, set, map. Who knows the list, set and map, and who uses the map effectively, they will be the good programmers. Who uses map effectively, they are good programmers. Okay, then what is user defined data types? Means you will be creating your own apex clauses. Okay, so the apex clause itself is a specific data type, that's called user defined data type. You can give your own name, let's say my first class, that's also one user defined data. If you create one class, that's user defined. Whatever the class you are going to create, that's a user defined. Okay, so you are going to deal with objects, classes, and then list, set, map. Now there will be something called interfaces also. Okay, so if you know these concepts very much, that's more than enough. Okay, so write down these primitive data types first. Okay, here. So I mentioned, right, integer, double, long, date, date time, string, id, boolean, and then object, object. Where is this? Okay, blob, boolean, date, date time, decimal, double, id, integer, long, object, string. Then you have time as well. Did you write down this time? Time, object, subject. These are special category data types in Salesforce. Subject and subject is a special category. Then collection data types, list, set, map. Then user defined data types are just simply, you can say that class. There are some kind of data types called enums, enumerations, but those are not important for you guys. Okay, but you should learn what is enum and how it works. Okay, let's see how to do the things. Okay, so now you guys have seen that each and every data type is used to declare variables, means to store a value, right? So data type means type of data which stores, right? So where we can store the data. Okay, to store the data, usually if you generally take some space, place, or let's say if it is physical place like your apartment or something, if you want to keep some object somewhere else, then you should have some place like a rack or some drawer or something, it will be there, right? The same way in computer language, you know that if you want to store something, you should have space, right? But in programming language, if you want to store something, then you should give some name, right? So the same way, however, you have created some custom fields, right? Let's say if you want to store your date of birth, then you will you will be giving the name like date of birth, right? And if you want to store some boolean kind of thing, then active or inactive, the thing name you are giving, it stores some value, right? The same way in this language also, you should have variables to store the values. Without variables, you can't do anything. Okay, those are variables are very much important. Variable is a space or name. A variable is a name which allocates some memory to store the value. Okay, a variable is a name which allocates some memory to store a value. Okay, and then there are some kind of variables. Okay, the types of variables are, there are three types of variables. One is local variables, instance static or global variables. Instance variables, static or global variables. Okay. Syntax means rules. You know that, right? Syntax means rule. Okay. So for the local variable syntax will be data type, variable name. Then if I keep in brackets, that is optional. Careful. If I keep in square brackets, that is optional. You can give it or if you ignore it. There is no problem if you ignore it also. Okay. Then instance variables. But at the end, semicolon is most important. Have static or global variables. Just listen, after that you can write down. Okay, I'll give you time. First listen, you'll miss it. Okay, so usually when you go with the variables, there are different types of variables: local variables, instance variables, static or global variables. Three kind of variables we have. So wherever I keep the values like in square brackets, that is optional. Okay, that's optional. Means if you give the value or if you don't give the value, there is no issue. For the local variables, you can declare like this, and for the instance variables means which are declared inside the class. Okay, don't need to worry. First we'll learn about the local variables. After that we'll come up with the instance variables and then static variables. First, just try to understand, if I give the syntax, what does it mean. Okay, see this here. If you observe in the second one, access modifier, then data type, then we are giving the variable. Okay, so access modifiers, we have some kind of access modifiers like private, public. Okay, so then global. Okay, private, public, global. Okay, private also, and then default also is there. Those are access modifiers. I'll explain in next class, don't worry on this. Okay, so when we come with the classes, then we'll come there. And then static means these are also class level variables, but the important, I'll explain that how to access the access modifiers. I mean, how to access the static or instance variables later on that. But the thing is, if I give something in total capital letters, that means the word is mandatory. You can give in um, even in capital letters or small letters also, doesn't matter, but it's mandatory. Okay, here if you give static and final, means these two are mandatory, and equals to, and then I have given the value in capital letters, right? That is mandatory. Okay, that is a syntax. You should learn that. Okay, how the local variables, instance variables, and access modifiers, syntax you should learn. Then you can learn how to use it. Okay, note down if you have not. Okay, let's see the local variables where we can use and how we can. So let's write small program. Usually once you log in into the Salesforce, go to setup and open your developer console. Okay, there we used to write the program. Open the developer console. So once you open the developer console, you should know what are these things. So file. So here you can create new component, whether it may be Apex class or trigger, Visual Force, whatever the lightning components or events, whatever you want, you can create it. Okay, using file. And then edit. So there you just find something will be there. And fix index. I'll tell you that how to do that. Okay. And then here, so you have to start with open execute anonymous window. Okay, this one. So let's say very simple. First try to by head this one, how to print a message, whatever the message it is, how to print a message. Simple thing. System is actually a class. Okay, then these are methods. You will come to know this later once you learn about the variables. Then simply use this system dot debug and then brackets, finally it will be semicolon. Okay, here inside the single quote you can write whatever you want. Just execute, and this is called execute anonymous window. Okay, execute anonymous window means you can write the program here and you can execute it and you can see the result here only. Okay. So here, open the log. Log means once the program is executed, how much time it has taken and how much space it has used, something that each and every information will be there in the log. That's called debug log. That's called debug log. Okay. So once you write the program, just execute here. Before executing, just click on this checkbox. You just check the checkbox and execute it, and this will send the request to the platform, that's post.com, and get the results load here as the log. Okay, so here if you see that, see here, who is the user? External user. This is the user ID and this is the user. This is the email, I mean user ID we have used, and then it starts execute anonymous updates. From there only we have started the execute anonymous and executing the code. So how much? 3 bytes used on 52 something, based on the heap allocation, how much heap it is there, and it started allocating. And see that, so here at line number 1, here it is line number 1, debug. So debug has been executed and this is the output. Okay, so here, so there are some limitations while writing the queries, DML operations, something like that. You have 100 SOQLs are allowed. Okay, so 50,000 rows are allowed, 20 SOSLs and 150 DMLs. DML rows are 10,000. CPE limit is 10 seconds and maximum heap size is 60,000, 6 lakhs or something, means like 6 MB, and number of callouts will be 100. Email invocations means you can send up to 10 emails. Okay, number of feature calls 10, jobs added 0, something like this. These are the limitations. We will come to know that later while learning about the Apex. There are governor limits. Those are very much important and those will be asked in interview questions also. We'll come to know them later. Okay, so here this is called the actual log, debug log. And if you want to know that whatever you have given the debug statements like system.debug, whatever the message you have written, so then you just click on debug only. You just give the filter and this is debug only. Okay, and here if you see this executable, it executes wherever it is executed, unit started and execution where it is started, how it is started. Okay, and then if you want to filter something, let's say you have 100 debugs or something, you want to know simple like where it is my keyword or something, filter. Okay, and here if you use this frame, it gives whatever it is executed on that frame like governor limits and everything. Okay, so that's about the log. You don't need to worry about the log much. Okay, now here let's say simply we can do one thing. Okay, so we know that local variables can be declared like data type and variable name. Then if you want you can give the value. Okay, let's see how can you do this. Let's say I want to have name. Okay, name type is string. Okay, string name you can give like this. Okay, or let's say integer age equals to 20, something like this you can give. So it's not mandatory to give the space between this value and this one, but from here it is required. Okay, even here also if you don't give there is no issue, but as best practice you have to give the space. Okay, let's say if you want to have the variable name like student name, okay, it should be in the camel case camel. Okay, first thing, it variable name should always starts with small letter. Whatever it is variable name, it should always starts with small letter. That is exception for only for static variables. Static variables also can be have small letters or capital letters, but usually all static variables will be given in the capital letters only to identify that it's a okay. So here let's say you want to have student name, then what you can do is student, then name is another word, so always use capital letter for the next word. And how many words you have, the starting word name should field, I mean starting letter of the word should always be capital letter. Okay, now here I have student name and age. If you don't want now how can you assign a variable, I mean how can you assign a value to the variable? Here student name is there, see here name, name give something as it is string, right? It is the type is string. String should always, the value should be given always in the single quotes. Okay, so let's say student name equals to, okay, this means this is the, this is actually how to assign a value to the variable. Okay, variable name equals to this one. So at a time only one value can be given. Okay, this is one value. Let's say if you give like John, something like this, then this complete thing is single name only. It's not a double two values, it's only one value because it starts and ends in single quote only. Okay, it's not a two value, so you should always give in single quote. Whatever the text you have given, that's called only. So how many characters you can give? Up to 255 characters you can give per string, and even more than that also, there is no issue for this. Okay, so the text data type in the custom fields or text box, text areas, all, and email, everything will be text only. Okay, everything is text only. Now here, how can you print the value of student name or age? Let's say system dot debug is the method. Okay, now I will have name, so this will be printed name only, right? So space, I'm just giving some colons, plus. What does plus mean? Plus means concatenation, means along with this message, then plus means print this message as well as add something, like if you give student name. Now after plus, what it does is it takes student name and submits. Okay, it submits to you. Okay, now here let's say system dot debug age. You can give xyz also in the message. Inside single quotes you can give 1 2 3 whatever the terminator, you don't need to worry. But here it should be, so here if you want age, even you can give like age also, there is no problem because apex is not a case sensitive. Case sensitive means whatever the value you have given, whatever the variable name, like s is small letter, then you should give always a small letter only wherever you want to use that variable. But here it is not a case sensitive, so you can give capital letter or small letter also, but better to use only whatever you have used, that one, that will help you to search for the content. Okay, so here just try to execute. Want to see the debug, just click on debug. Name is John and the age is 20. Okay, now here always it stores only one value. I am explaining you guys, always it use only one value. Here try to understand the flow. Okay, how to control the statements, what is the flow control. Okay, so here at Line number 1, student name, age is 20. At line number 3, we have given student name as John. Now, at line number 5, when it is getting executed, what is the value in student name? John. And what is the value in age? 20. Now here I have given the student name equals John 123 and age equals to 50. So now what will be printed at line number 8? Yes, so here whatever the value you have given the latest, okay, so that will be stored in this variable, whatever the variable it is. So if you store some value and latest value whatever you have given, that will be there in the that variable, and the previous value will be erased, it will be replaced. Okay, just see this. Okay, its name John, age, then here the values will be changed because you have updated at in the same program with the different lines. Okay, so any questions on this? Let's say here in single quotes I'm going to give this 1 2 3 4 5 6 as a student name. Okay, this is as it is inside the single quote, means it treats as a text only, it's not a number. But as you have given the number, but it's not a number because you have given in the single quote. If you give in the single quote, it treats as a simply that as number, that is as a text. If you give in single quotes, that is a text. Okay, so but if you try to give like this simply, so as you are giving student name something but you have not given the single quote, this is called syntax, right? Now here what you are trying to give student name but you have given the number, right? Now if you try to execute, it will give the error, right? Illegal assignment from integer to string. See here, illegal assignment from integer to string. Actually this is integer and you are assigning to string because the student name, the data type is string. Now it is illegal assignment because the integer data type, integer value cannot be assigned to the string. Okay, now here let's say you have given like this and age you have given like this, that's 50, but it is in single quote, means that's a string but age data type is integer. Now it should say that illegal assignment from string to integer because string is going to assign into the integer. Let's see that output, illegal assignment from string to integer. Okay, so whatever the text or whatever the thing you are giving, you should go in the specified format, that's called syntax, right? That's called syntax. You should give always, you should respect the syntax first. Okay, so that's very much important.
I don't
See
want
here,
to replace this age value with previous.
see, it's not mandatory to have the single quote and everything. If you want to print some message along with value, then the single quote is mandatory. Okay, because you are doing some calculation. Okay, so if you don't want like this, you just need to print student name and age. You can print like this also. Okay, so just simply execute this. Okay, so any questions on this still? So once the program is executed, log is generated, you have seen that, but you wanted to see again the log. Okay, you don't need to execute again. So just come to here, logs, open the recent log and just click debug. Okay, so it will give like this. Okay, so this is how you have to declare the variables. Okay, now let's see there are some kind of operators. Okay, so operator means you know that, right? There will be some plus minus something like this operations are there. Those are called operators. Okay, so each and every operator will perform some kind of function, some kind of work it will do. Okay, so there are kind of operators. Let's learn about the operators first. Operators. Arithmetic operators means to perform the arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, something like. So you can write down all the things: plus, minus, then into, you can have division, then modulo operator, so etc. Whatever the things we have, you can just use this. Assignment operators equals ternary operators. These two are called ternary operators. Logical operators equals, not equals, and, or, equals to, not equals to, then here, and, or. These are called logical operators. Then comparative operators. So the comparative operators are greater than, less than, greater than or equals to, less than or equals to. These are called comparative operators. Okay, so we might have missed some operators. Okay, so if you want, we have a lot of other operators also, but those are not much required. Then you have another operator, incrementer or decrementer operators. Increment is plus plus, decrement is minus minus. Then you can have some different other operators also. You don't need to worry about that. When you are writing the programs, you can come to know. These are the basic operators. Let's try to do the addition of two numbers. Okay, addition of two numbers. Let's do something like this. Usually, addition of two numbers means first you need to have two numbers. That means to store two numbers, you should have two variables, right? So how can you do this? Integer, as you are saying, integer a equals to 20, b equals to 50, something like this. Then you can have to store the result of these two numbers. Then you can have another variable, right? Integer c. So here, as there are all these are same data types, right? All three variables are integer data type. Then how can you declare the same type of variables? You can declare in this single line, like integer a, b, comma c. Then it treats that all these three are same data type, and you have to allocate the memory for these three variables separately. Then if you want to have some values, a equals to 20, then b equals to 30. You can use like this, there is no restriction like that. And then here c equals to a plus, here system dot a plus b is, I'm just giving like this message. You can give whatever the message you want inside the C. Okay, a, b, c. This is how you can use the plus. The same way, if you want, instead of using the third variable, what you can do is, so if I replace like this, do you have any problem like? But see how output will be there. Means, so usually when you use the plus symbol here, it is concatenation, right? It means what it does is it prints this message. After the plus, it prints the a value plus b value. It has not done the performance of addition, right? It doesn't perform the this one. So for that, what we can do is just give in single bracket. Okay, means first message should be printed, that plus, and here it is bracket, means this is a separate transaction. So what it does is, inside the bracket whatever it is there, first it performs this one. So this, as it is in the bracket, it a plus b means 20 plus 30, it performs whatever the result it is there, then the result will be printed along with this message. That's the bracket. Just use this. See this. Okay. Now how this should be used? Addition of two numbers. Okay. If you want, just first thing, swapping two numbers. Swap means, let's write swapping. Means if we give double slash, that is called comment. Comment means it won't be considered into the program to be executed. Okay, so if you don't give and if you try to give like this, then it reads that it is a code and it tries to compile and it tries to execute, then it will give some error to you guys. Okay, so unexpected token system.debug, but system.debug doesn't have any problem, right? So before that line or after that line there is some problem. So if you give like this, then there will be no issue. Okay, swapping of two numbers. Let's see, to swap the two numbers, this is for incrementing, or let's say improving your skills, means programming skills. Let's say integer c, for now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take third variable to store the value and swap the values. So now, so what I'm trying to do is, let's try to do here a is 20, b equals to 30. Okay, now what I'm trying to do is a equals to b. Now what is the value in a? 30, because we are assigning like this. Now what is the value in b? Now
No, B also 30.
b also 30 because we have not assigned. For that, let's say what I'm trying to do is c equals to a. Now what is the value in c?
C 20.
20. So a equals to d. That means what is the value in a? 30. Now b equals to c. What is the value in the b?
20.
Did you understand that? First, what we have done, so we have taken third variable. Simply the two things. What you have done? First, you have taken the first one and kept somewhere else, and you have moved that again. It's moved back. So now here, try to debug system dot a. B. So try to debug this. Write the same here. A value was 20, 30 at line number 3. At line number 7, this is 30. Okay, let's see. Without using third variable. So let's keep this. Okay. A equals to a plus b. Here a equals to a plus b means here a value is 50, right? 20 plus 30 is 50. Now what I'm trying to do is b equals to a minus b. This means 50 minus 30 equals to, okay. Now a equals to, okay, a minus b means 50 minus 20 equals to